This is Jeremy Zwinger with the Rice Trader. It's always a pleasure to be here. Just go through the world rice market, talk about some of the price trends and the overall key variables occurring throughout our industry. First off, I would just welcome everybody to register for the World Rice Conference. We already have just an amazing start. Just 3-4 weeks to go. We have record sponsorships, record booths, record early attendance. I think we have a chance to break the record of gathering together. So it's just been a beautiful experience to have everybody come together and just be blessed by coming the world back together. So please register. The hotel is booked out, but there's many hotels in the region, and so it still should be an amazing time for us all. So with that, let's get into the rice market. It remains, somewhat volatile in a way. I mean, the market is. Rice has actually been about as unvolatile as you can get. We have a stock to use ratio of 30%, which is extremely high, which is why the markets have not run. Why there's a lot of problems in pushing the market because there's just the global supplies are just so high. And people say, oh, it's in China, it's this. It doesn't matter. The flow of grain and food always occurs. And really, I've said this often, rice has remained the staple in the world, kept the world stable as the largest eaten food supply in the world. It is more than wheat when you convert it from milled rice versus an actual flour conversion. And so rice is so important to the world, and that high supply has stabilized it, even though we've led to some weird, wild trends in rice with brokens going very high in price because it competed against the grain industry. I'm a bit in the outlier. I'm a bit opposite. I actually don't think the overall food supply is tight. I think a lot of this was facilitated. A lot of this is political worries of Ukraine. In the end, I think that food will leave the country. There will be some issues, but throughout time, a lot of that turns into domestic consumption, and then a lot of new channels occur. So that's been kind of my view. I would note there is some macro stuff going on, a lot of macro stuff, the key factors. Oil is now down to about $85 a barrel. The dollar is ridiculously strong. For this week, natural gas fell 22%. And so there's a lot of talk of inflation, a lot of talk of the world is in a recession. Britain looks like they're going to get a new prime minister again. It could be the old prime minister. The new prime minister only lasted 44 days. It could be very quick. And so there's a lot of volatility worldwide. The U.S. elections are just a couple weeks away. Before we get to overseas, by the time the World Conference, we will know the results. A lot of people believe it will go back to a split Congress, Senate. Biden will no longer have a mandate, and this will be very difficult for him. He won't be able to put things through like he's been able to for 2 years. And that's kind of the U.S. system. They like to flip when the president's a Democrat. They like to have Republican Congress and Senate. It's pretty universal. And the economics are just so bad, and oil prices are so high that the economy is the key thing, as it's always been. So those are kind of the macro variables going on. If I look worldwide, weather, and then some more weather. There's been a lot of rain in Southeast Asia, a lot of rain in India, a lot of rain. People are talking about worries, a lot of rain in Australia, which again, Australia was in heavy drought. Earlier in the year, we were worried about the drought in India. Usually excess rain does not kill a lot of crops. If you look at studies from Erie, it's really drought. Drought is the killer, and some new vector, some new grasshopper or some vector we haven't seen for a while, especially like a locust and stuff like that really affect production. New disease that will really cause some issues, and a crop would really affect it. Usually rain doesn't, especially rice, which is very aquatic. I don't see it as a major factor, but you do got to watch it because it's been such wild times between COVID and life. So you just watch things closely, but I think it'll be fine as far as in the end of what happens. It does seem the Indians, if I move to a different subject, have solved their logistical issue with the new regulations of tariffs on all things for but parboiled and basmati, and the brokens ban. They have allowed all those contracts to go, and Indian traders are pretty resilient, and they know kind of how to work that type of system, and that type of system has been worked if one wants to put it just lightly. On that note, there is a Diwali holiday for India, and a lot of those who travel, I know some of our team will be enjoying the Diwali holiday, and so just I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season in Asia for that. In fact, the rice trader is taking off next week for travel and preparation of the World Conference, and so our team can enjoy those times with their families as well. The Thai market's really unchanged in a lot of ways. Some shipments are being withheld on export movements due to rain, but I think it'll all be fine. And you're seeing some heavy movements per week. I mean, really, the weekly trade is very good. Thailand's up by 23-24%. They're at 5.7, the best in several years, but it's a mere drop from India, which is 16.36 million. They're up basically even with last year, on pace to do 20.2 million tons. And that's just amazing. Pakistan is up, Vietnam's up significantly, but really it's a good year for everybody except the US. And the US story is worthy just to take a stop and look. I mentioned it last week, they've lost their biggest market, which is Mexico, to South America. They have a very poor quality. We've said this to the rice trader for years. We've been, I'm actively engaged in trying to get people to change. And it's not the first industry that refused until I lost market share. The wheat industry in the 80s did the same thing in the US, and it's somewhat of a normal cycle of refusing to deal with the issue until it's just a super fire. And that is a big issue right now. I mean, demand in the US is down 50%. The crop is off like 7% in the year, but still better than 2019, but 7% on the year are long grain crop down. Of course, the California crop is massively down, 50% of a normal crop. So there's a lot of issues in the US with that low demand and just not dealing with long grain indica quality. California's got its drought issue, and there's even a quality issue in California with heavy chalkiness coming out of this weird crop, which never happens. I mean, this is the best warehouse system I've ever seen. #1 grade is a standard, just beautiful, beautiful things. So I would watch if I was a japonica buyer. That's a key thing. You're seeing a lot of actually Australian rice arrive. 2 vessels of brown have arrived. A third one we hear is on the way. And they're using this to mill in their woodland mill and actually send it in the domestic market. We won't be surprised if there's not a Viet vessel move in. And also, who knows what the Australians might do? They are heavily invested in the Mekong Delta. There was an article of them investing another 5 million in that region, and so they may even bring their own vessel in. So it's a fascinating time as far as just looking at all those key things. But it's a very fascinating world market. Outside of that, I would just note again, we have a great report. I can only do so much in my few 10 minutes of looking through the market and giving key variables. Our team does an amazing job. There is a monthly update on Pakistan and a parboiled market update as well in the rice trader. So just a lot going on overall. And I would just remind as I close here, it's a wild market. Be careful. At some point, prices will probably have to rise a little bit as the grain markets new down. Recession's probably coming. Register for the World Rice Conference, of course. And next week we're going to be off due to holidays and travel. And lastly, I just wish the best for you all. I hope you have a beautiful week, a weekend, a beautiful week as we get close to the World Rice Conference. We're always here to help you, and we pray you have a blessed time. Talk to you soon.